here in the Marketing Week live studio. We're just in front of the editor's stage here, and earlier on this afternoon I was hearing a particular voice in my ear, and I now get the chance to meet the face behind that voice, Tim Fidgeon from eConsultancy. Thanks for taking your voice from the stage here into the studio.
Pleasure.
You were speaking about content strategy. Just give me the top lines, the key bullets of your talk, if you will.
Yep, sure. So if we break it down into sort of 3 sections, I guess it's deciding who you're creating content for and why, and what sort of content they would be interested in having.
Yeah.
It's then making sure that that is embodied in something that represents an editorial calendar or content plan.
Yeah.
And then finally it's putting the processes and the support structures in place to allow people to create that content efficiently and effectively.
Now, without wishing to sound rude, that sounds like pretty basic stuff.
Yep.
Why does the message that you were telling kind of still need to be told? Are these messages about knowing your audience and so on just not out there yet in your view?
Well, part of it, I think, is the fact that many websites do not come from a publishing background, do not come from a content creation background, and so therefore are new to the idea of how do we organize ourselves to have a plan, a considered approach to creating content, not only in terms of what content do we wish to create, but how do we create it. You know, sometimes it can be a little bit scattergun. There's no real strategy underlying it, and there's sort of a famous cliche within the digital space, which is we're all publishers now. So even if you sell widgets, you have to write articles about what to do with those widgets in order to get the search and get the social and all those sorts of things. The other thing, of course, is that, you know, running the 100 meters, just as an example, it's very easy to watch someone run the 100 meters because they've been running the 100 meters for years and years and years. But if you just go to the blocks and try and run 100 meters, your form's going to be terrible. Not that I'm a runner, but you take the point that in principle something can be quite easy, but explaining all of the detail and putting all of the technical issues in place and navigating the environment may not be as easy as it first appears. Now, it may be someone from a publishing background, to them that's their mother's milk, as it were. All they would need to do is learn, well, how does all of my knowledge transfer to the digital environment? Whereas someone who's just a website owner, would need to say, okay, well, I need to know a little bit more about strategy, planning.
It's a bit more nuanced than you might at first think it is, I guess.
One would hope so.
Yeah, okay. Mobile, and you were talking about applying content strategy, particularly for those who are consuming content on mobile. Just give me the flavour of where the challenges are with regards to mobile content consumption.
Sure. I mean, some of the main challenges are, for instance, the session length that people, on average, tend to use their device for. So the research suggests, or a study suggests, that the average desktop session is about 150 seconds. The average mobile session is about 70 seconds. So immediately you're dealing with only half of the amount of attention that someone's prepared to give you on the desktop environment. So you have to make sure that you simplify tasks, you simplify messages as much as is possible. You're also dealing with the legibility piece. So, someone's outdoors, they don't have perfect lighting, they may be dealing with rain splatter, they may be dealing with an unstable screen in front of them simply because they're on the bus and the bus is bouncing. So you need to make sure that the contrast is as strong as possible. And all of these issues are not as pressing in the desktop environment. And the research suggests that particularly with detailed content, if you read something on desktop, one group versus a different group, you read the same content on a small screen device, they perform half as well. So if you ask them questions afterwards, they've learnt half as much, they remember half as much, they find half as much correct information simply because it's on a small screen and that's harder work.
Yes.
So all of these things make the challenge of creating content a great deal greater on mobile, and that's even before you talk about the user experience elements of things like touch targets, hover state, all those sorts of things.
And then from my background, when we start talking about video consumption as well, you've got those challenges around being able to even see the image on the screen, but also audio as well. The fact that, I forget the number off the top of my head, but quite a large percentage of video on mobile devices is watched without the sound even on. So you need to tailor your content in order to still resonate with that audience that's watching it rather than listening to it.
Well, quite so. One would probably tend towards shorter video rather than longer, simply because of that session length that we talked about. Yep. One would, if one could, have subtitles on the video that people could turn on or off. For search and for accessibility reasons, one would probably wish to have a synopsis or a description immediately beneath the video that basically had all of the useful information that was encompassed within that video.
Yep.
But even the way that you shoot the video might be different. So for instance, if you're expecting the majority of your audience to watch video on a lovely widescreen desktop device, you can shoot it like Stanley Kubrick. Whereas if you're expecting it to be in the vertical orientation, which about 95% of mobile usage is, then all of a sudden you have to have much simpler shots, much closer up shots, because widescreen shrunken to vertical simply isn't going to work as well.
And those close-up shots I think are quite important as well, because you are looking to, if it's person-led content, then you need to be able to see their eyes. And if you're used to looking on a 40-inch TV screen and being having a close-up, but on mobile it really does need to be big and bold, I guess.
Yes, and it would be the same with imagery. So exactly the same that typically on a homepage you'd have a big beautiful landscape with lots and lots of detail where you can see each leaf on each tree, which is great if you've got a big iMac and you're in an office. If ever you're seeing it on your rather ratty Android phone like I've got, and you try and shrink that widescreen down onto a vertically held small non-4K device, it's going to be almost unrecognisable. So your choice of video shooting and topic, and even your choice of imagery, if you're going to use the same video, the same images on every device, would be influenced as to whether you're prioritising mobile as opposed to prioritising desktop, or indeed, if you make the decision to say, well, we're going to optimise for each and simply have different video and different images, which the industry is not currently tending towards generally because of the cost of shooting twice and maintaining twice.
Of course.
That hence mobile first.
Before we go, just tell me what you're most looking forward to seeing here on the show floor at Marketing Week Live.
Well, as I don't work in the office, I'll give you the politic answer, which is I don't often get to meet my colleagues from e-consultancy, so I'll go over there now and share some beers with them.
Fantastic, sounds like a great idea. Listen, Tim, really good to talk to you. Have a great time here at the show.
My pleasure.
Cheers.